All right, welcome back to the Thunderdome on a fantastic Selection Sunday. Due to the recent events, we will continue to be pushing content out, hopefully as a way to escape what's going on in the world today. We are going to be diligent providing content to you guys. Like I said, the NCAA is not participating in March Madness, which saddens a lot of people. I saw it referred to as March Sadness this year, because it is such a big deal. But we got you covered. And it couldn't have been done without each and every one of y'all's support. Thank you for the votes. It was a very tough decision to get us down to 8 contenders in each of our 4 regions. So welcome to the Nation Throwdown Bracket Challenge for 2020. We'll work on the names. I get it. We're here to reveal the full seeded bracket for every one of the 4 regions for TV and movies, anime and cartoons, comics, as well as video games. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to not waste any more time. I've got my handy dandy cheat sheet right here for every one of our contestants. We're going to break these down and tell you where we've seeded them. Once the full bracket is revealed throughout the coming weeks, we're going to have matchups that you, the fans, can vote on. So after we have everybody going against who they will be going against in each of our 4 regions, we're going to have a vote on all of our social media accounts, as well as taking votes from the comment sections in our upcoming future videos, so that y'all can decide who you'd like to advance to the next round. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for the future participation that each and every one of y'all are going to do to help us crown a champion in the first ever Nation Throwdown March Madness 2020 Bracket Challenge. Welcome to Bracketology. I'm your boy Trey. We're going to start with arguably one of the hardest regions we had to seed, and that is TV and movies. TV and movies is going to start with our number 1 seed. We randomized everything, so we're just going to go through our first matchup. The first person revealed, Mr. Frank Castle. From the Netflix series Mr. Punisher, has made the first entry into our March Madness tournament. Congratulations. Punisher is a great character, and I am excited because this first matchup is great. We're going to have Frank Castle from the Netflix series going one-on-one, mano-a-mano with the myth, the man, the legend, Indiana Jones. We get Guns versus Temples of Doom, the first matchup. We get Bullets versus Holy Grails. That first matchup, Frank Castle from the Netflix series versus the iconic Indiana Jones. Our second matchup in TVs and movies is going to pit the wit of the child. That's right, Baby Yoda, the child, is making his debut in any sort of pop culture, nerd, bracket, challenge, throwdown. The child will be going up against Negan from The Walking Dead. One of the best characters in the Walking Dead series, hands down. We've got Baby Force Powers versus Lucille. So that second matchup again is the child, Baby Yoda, versus Negan from the Walking Dead series. In our third matchup, in our TV and movie bracket, we have arguably the greatest transformation of any superhero character into a real-life person character, Fat Thor. Welcome to the big dance. Fat Thor, you made it. Get on your treadmill, or not, eat another cheeseburger. Fat Thor will be going up against not a chef, but a cook, Mr. Walter White. Walter White facing Fat Thor in the third matchup in our Nerd Nation Throwdown Challenge. And the last matchup And this might be considered the sneakiest matchup in the whole bracket for TVs and movies. Because you got to dig it, snap into it. We've got the Macho Man, Randy Savage, one of the most charismatic people to ever grace television. Macho Man Randy Savage is going up against a dark horse, a fan favorite, a cult icon, if you will, Captain Malcolm Reynolds from the prestigious Firefly series. Space Pirates versus elbow drops from the top rope, and arguably the dark horse matchup of this particular region, Macho Man Randy Savage versus Captain Malcolm Reynolds. So let's review our TV and movie bracket. TV and movies, we've got Frank Castle, the Punisher, versus Indiana Jones. We've got The Child, Baby Yoda, versus Negan. We have Fat Thor versus Walter White. And last but not least, Macho Man Randy Savage versus Captain Malcolm Reynolds of Firefly. I want to thank everybody for their TV and movie votes. That was a very tough category to put together, but a lot of fun, and I love the way the matchups came out. I think we've got some amazing things that are going to happen. I look forward to The Child versus Negan. I look forward to Macho Man Randy Savage versus Captain Malcolm Reynolds. Those are going to be some excellent fan favorite. The voting will be insane. We know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to vote. I think it's a close race. Those are toss-up matchups out of our TV and movie bracket. The second region in our bracket challenge that we're going to be unveiling for you guys on the other side of the camera is anime and cartoons. So these are characters that span anime and cartoon series, and we've got some fantastic ones. We actually have a surprise entry, and we'll get to that in a second. But we're going to start off anime and cartoons. Matchup number one, numero uno, the king of Wubba Dubba Dub Dub, Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, cracking into our anime bracket. Pickle Rick, welcome to the big dance. Rick will be seeing an iconic cartoon hero, a iconic cartoon Cajun. He'll be seeing Gambit from the 1990s X-Men, one of the greatest 1990s X-Men of all time. We've got Rick from Rick and Morty versus Gambit from the 1990s cartoons in our very first matchup. In our second matchup in our anime and cartoon series, welcome more than meets the eye, the original VW Yellowbug Bumblebee is making an entry into anime and cartoons from the G1 cartoon series, and he'll be facing the hardest standalone hitter in the whole tournament. Bumblebee, congratulations, you're matched up against One Punch Man. I'm interested to see how that plays out. One Punch Man versus Bumblebee. That's our second matchup in anime and cartoons. Third matchup pits a said Dragon Baller, Kakarot, Goku. Welcome to the big dance. Goku coming in on our third matchup versus Spike from Cowboy Bebop. That is a anime throwdown if I have ever seen it. And I haven't. But it is. Because I'm telling you it is. Goku versus Spike from Cowboy Bebop in our third matchup in anime and cartoons. And finally, we have Naruto in the last matchup in a unprecedented handicap match. He's going 2-on-1. It's not mano-a-mano. It is a handicap match because Beavis and Butthead both made our bracket challenge.
This is it, Beavis. We're finally gonna score.
And let's just be honest, Beavis and Butthead need an advantage. They'll probably fight each other more than they will Naruto. But again, our fourth and surprise entry, Beavis and Butthead will be facing Naruto in an unprecedented 2-on-1 handicap match in our fourth and final matchup in our anime and cartoons bracket. What a bracket. The anime and cartoons bracket, unprecedented handicap match. Straight ahead in round one, Beavis and Butthead versus Naruto. Unprecedented. You heard it here first. This isn't the fake news. This is the real news. There's no real bracket for you guys, so we're the real bracket. What a great bracket. What a fantastic, unprecedented 2-on-1 handicap match. Now in our third region, as we filled half our bracket in the third region, we move on to our comics. The first matchup by our comic book icons involves Wolverine and his incredible healing power versus Spider-Man, an OG in the comic world, a true New Yorker, and everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Matchup one being Wolverine versus Spider-Man from the comics. Our second matchup is going to include a little bit of a Hellraiser versus a little bit of a Hellblazer. We've got John Constantine from DC making his March Madness debut from the Hellblazer series. John Constantine from the comics will be seeing Hellboy. What a hellacious matchup that one is going to turn out to be. In our third matchup within the comics bracket on your selection Sunday, the comic book version of Deadpool without a doubt makes it into the bracket. Probably one of the higher voted on characters across the board. Goes up against another highly requested character from comic book lore, Bruce Wayne / Batman. So we've got two fan favorites from DC and Marvel going mano-a-mano. Deadpool versus Batman. And finally, in our last matchup out of the comic book bracket, we have Spawn. Spawn's comic book iteration. And I point that out because these are all the iterations of the comic book versions of these characters. Spawn, Todd McFarlane's baby, will be seeing Mr. J's baby, Harley Quinn, to round out our comic region of our March Madness bracket. One more time, we'll run through what we have in our comic bracket. We have Wolverine versus Spider-Man John Constantine versus Hellboy in one hell of a throwdown. We have Deadpool versus Batman. Katanas and batarangs will fly. And we have Spawn versus Harlequin. Harley gets Spawn in the last section. It was very hard to fill this bracket out. We had a ton of nominations for comics and comic characters. That's your top 8 in comics. Finally, moving into the final region in this unprecedented, nothing's going to slow us down. We're still going to bring y'all a bracket. Nerd Nation, we have video games. Our fourth and final region is video games. And arguably the most discussed region in our bracket when it came down to going through everyone's votes and picking 8 based on the votes and having these discussions, me and Sparkly and Brother Z, and when we debated this, we had this as probably our toughest bracket because of how close all the voting was. So with that being said, we're excited to round out our bracket with our fourth and final region, video games. The very first person that gets to make the distinction of being in the video game region is Miss Sylvanas Windrunner, Banshee Queen, Queen of the Damned, World of Warcraft legend. Sylvanas Windrunner is the very first character in our video game bracket, and she will be facing none other than an OG of OGs, Link from The Legend of Zelda. First matchup, Sylvanas Windrunner versus Link. Second matchup, we have a Ubisoft character, if you will, a assassin, Ezio Altair from the famed Assassin's Creed video games, and arguably the best character in the franchise, makes the list, matching up with a game changer of console gaming, Master Chef. No, I apologize. Master Chief. Master Chief versus Ezio Altair. We've got in our second matchup. In our third matchup, it brings our first villain from video game lore into play, M. Bison. From the loved Street Fighter franchise, M. Bison will be going 1-on-1 with Solid Snake. And finally, in our fourth and final matchup, we have Sid from Final Fantasy VII going up against Geralt from the Witcher franchise. So one last time, let's run through our video game category. Sylvanas Windrunner versus Link in our very first matchup. Ezio Altair versus Master Chief, not Master Chef, Master Chief. M. Bison versus Solid Snake. And finally, Sid versus Geralt. This bracket did not come without some people being left out. So I want to tell y'all, Nerd Nation, we had we've decided to reveal our first 4 out. Just like the NCAA does, we had our first 4 out of the bracket. The 4 that did not make the cut, 1 from each region. And I want to run through those right now. The first out in our movies and TVs category was Doc Brown from Back to the Future. Doc Brown missed it, and missed it very closely. It actually was a very tight vote, but Doc Brown was our first out in our movies and TVs category. In anime and cartoons, Darth Maul from the Clone Wars series did not make the cut. He just didn't have enough to overtake Beavis and Butthead. It was surprising. Beavis and Butthead was the last in. Darth Maul from the Clone Wars was the last out in our anime category. It was close, and I want to put that out there, and I apologize to Mr. Maul. All the struggles and being cut in half and put back together and all that stuff. You were very close to getting in and making your way into the bracket. Unfortunately, you kind of got pooped on by Beavis and Butthead. In comics, was a little bit surprising. Johnny from Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was our first out in our comic book category. Surprising that he made it as far as he did, but we had to give the edge to Hellboy when it came down to the tiebreaker. So Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was our first out, and Hellboy our last in our comics category. And this saddens my heart because this was the debate of debates in our video game category. The last in was M. Bison. He made the cut barely, which left a legendary League of Legends legend on the bench. This year's March Madness Nerd Nation Throwdown 2020 bracket challenge. And it was just such a close race in video games, but I apologize. Fiddlesticks, you did not make the cut. You were the first out in our video game category, and I know all Fiddlesticks, you missed it by that much. So those were our first four out in our first ever March Madness Nerd Nation Throwdown Bracket Challenge 2020. Let's run through our bracket one last time so that everybody can see exactly what we have going on. We'll start TVs and movies. We have Frank Castle going one-on-one with Indiana Jones. We have The Child, Baby Yoda, facing off against Negan. We have Fat Thor going up against Walter White. And in the last matchup in TVs and movies, Macho Man Randy Savage going up against Captain Malcolm Reynolds. In anime and cartoons, we have Rick from Rick and Morty facing Gambit from the 90s X-Men. Bumblebee versus One Punch Man. Goku versus Spike from Cowboy Bebop in our Anime v Anime Showdown. And we have Naruto in that unprecedented handicap match against Beavis and Butthead. Comics rounded out with Wolverine versus Spider-Man in a Marvel versus Marvel showdown. John Constantine versus Hellboy in a hell of a good time. We have Deadpool versus Batman in Marvel versus DC Battle for Supremacy in round one. And Spawn versus Harley. The last region is the Banshee Queen, Sylvanas Windrunner, the Crazy Lady versus Link, the OG. And I mean OG. In the second matchup, you've got Ezio versus Master Chief. We've got an Assassin's Creed versus Halo main character battle, console battle for the ages. We've got M. Bison versus Solid Snake. And we round it out with Sid from Final Fantasy VII versus Geralt from The Witcher. I want to personally thank everyone who took time out of their day to submit votes for the first ever March Madness Throwdown Challenge. I want to invite everybody to stay tuned to what we have coming. In the coming weeks, we will be breaking down matchups and putting up polls for every one of you to vote on who you'd like to see advance in each one of these matchups. And we will update you as people advance in the bracket. But we couldn't put this together without your help. We could not have done this without your support. Nerd Nation, from your boy Trey, Brother Z, and the rest of the Truckin' with Trey family, I want to thank y'all allowing us into your homes to hopefully add something that has been taken away from us on this Selection Sunday. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. You know you're going to see us on Monday. We'll be back at you with another video in the vlog series. And we'll start to get into our March Madness Challenge. Thank you, family. I appreciate it. With that being said, we'll see y'all tomorrow.